the first to know in Nsem-Pii TV.
Nana Agradaa, Nana Agradaa. Is any nsem na eho apaso. Na no na lawyer Paul Mocher oni apreku. Omuma enchirichirim se edie nko na Nana Agradaa. A nyina nim se ene friends mama part aye. Na ni 15 years o deserve na. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ebe pardon na ana. Na kwan by time na so pardon. And na emmerdo say na eso dem ansa na otimi pardon. And no and a lawyer Paul Mocher atena se a enchirimu ni na ode ba ami hu se egum se Nana Agradaa oye funny ne ho anika nanso ne ye ne subi ho anenye na sika gare enpo ode ba asori ene wakoso abuamanfo na eno na apreku lawyer apreku echirechiremu ama lawyer Paul Mocher atiase se eno kwasem se ewum se His Excellency a friend say John Dramani Mahama abebetinga pardon ba sa wo ensem wa kafa no da na sa wo tia wa hwea onya sa pardon no na empo opardon kra mfa so be ena wo so na empo enam die koso efa the judicial system a eniema achia a eniema enkoye na so koso eko partner na is e come here say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama onfa emra enya adwuma ayade a obu the Supreme Court no I say the judicial sector o titi also na e come here say why be for the muntie tripping na eno na man for e appeal na we die enti His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ebeye sa ana na lawyer Paul Mocher ene lawyer apreku echirechire nsem no muye na etiefo emra yenche ho yenko tie lawyer Paul Mocher emra ode nsem no to yanmra.
Some said that he, based on the recommendations of the Constitution Review Committee of Professor Mills, which was chaired by Justice Fiajo and secretaried by Professor Raymond Atuguba, based on that recommendation, they wanted the Supreme Court to have a cap of 15 judges. The video says that President Mahama said in the video that he was going to have 15 judges. He's being criticized today for having 20 judges when he said he was going to have 15 by adding 7 to 13. They thought that he should have added 2 to bring it to 15. Supporters of President Mahama say that, well, he said he's going to have 15 judges. Maybe he said by the end of his term. So some are going to retire and some are going to fix, and then by the end of his term, he will have 15 judges. We will look as part of this presentation on which Supreme Court judge is retiring when, so that we can get a sense of it. But first, let's see President Mahama.
And even the issue of capping the number of judges, the Constitutional Review Committee recommended that we cap Supreme Court judges at 15. And so the issue of capping the Supreme Court is not for the Chief Justice to say. We will resurrect the Constitutional Review process when I become president. And when we do that, we will put it to the Ghanaian people whether we should retain the 15, whether we should reduce it, or whether we should increase it. And even the issue of capping the number of judges, the Constitutional Review Committee recommended that we cap Supreme Court judges at 15. And so the issue of capping the Supreme Court is not for the Chief Justice to say. We will resurrect the Constitutional Review process when I become president. And when we do that, we will put it to the Ghanaian people whether we should retain the 15, whether we should reduce it, or whether we should increase it.
Okay, so perhaps President Mahama is saying that the Constitutional Review Committee, which is working with Professor Kwesi Prempeh, perhaps will give a recommendation. But now, though, let's look at the judges who made the list today. Professor Sir Justice Dennis Ejay made the list today to the Supreme Court. Mr. Justice Gabriel Subari made the Supreme Court today. You have Justice Akabuafo. Justice Akabuafo is very new at the Court of Appeal. He was appointed by Akufo-Addo to the Court of Appeal just about 2 years ago, and he's been very fortunate to get an elevation to the Supreme Court. Congratulations, my lord. And then you have Justice Senyo Jamefe, who has been at the Court of Appeal for quite long. Some lawyers were unhappy that Jamefe has been there. I have to say that lawyer Moses Fuamoni has always been calling me anytime there was a Supreme Court. Say, Paul, tell the old man, Justice Jamefe is still at the Court of Appeal. He's a great judge. Tell the old man. And I said, Moses, I will organize so that you go and tell him yourself. He said, send me Godfrey's number. Let me call him. Justice Jamefe should be on the Supreme Court. That's Moses Fuamweni and the conversations we used to have. We started having conversations again. Moses is a great brain. One of the finest brains that we have in Ghana is Moses Fuamweni. So congratulations, Justice Senyor Jamefe. And Justice Philip Bright Mensah is also just recently coming to the court. And people have been giggling and whispering that Justice Bright Mensah is being rewarded for being one of the 2 judges who overturned the Atuforsen submission of no case, etc. I'm not sure it's because of that. I'm not sure. Judges do their work, and you can always make the linkages you want. But the power of the president to appoint judges is sacrosanct. It's in the Constitution. You can interpret it however you want. But Justice Bright Mensah is on the Supreme Court now. Congratulations, my lord. And then you have Justice Hafisa Amali Boba, who is also, it's always delightful to see women climb up, but Justice Hafisa has also been on the Court of Appeal for a very short time, and then now she's gone up to the Supreme Court by elevation. Congratulations, your lordship. And then you have Justice Janapari Battles Kojo, who is also now a member of the Supreme Court. Altogether right now, we have 20 Supreme Court justices. Oh, my pen is gone here. Okay, they'll fix it for me when you are not watching. Altogether, there are about 20 Supreme Court judges. Please, lawyer, come, get ready. Let's, in violation of President Mahama's ambition to have 15 judges, but he said it's the Constitutional Review Committee. So now let's talk about the sad case, Agradaa, as lawyer Preku joins me. Yes, thank you. So, what has happened?
So the Circuit Court 10, her Anna Justice Evelyn Asamoah has handed down a judgment placing Agradaa in custody for 15 years with hard labor, or we say in hard labor. And so, yes, this is pursuant to the case we discussed about 3 years ago, where she was charged for 2 things: defrauding by false pretenses and charlatanic advertisements.
What did she actually do?
So the defrauding by false pretenses, she made a promise and she actually collected money from church members in an all-night service that she was going to multiply the money for them. And I remember we made the distinction between that and other pastors making calls for maybe seed, that in this instance, the entity that prints money is the Bank of Ghana. And therefore, if you promise to multiply money, you are putting yourself in place of Bank of Ghana, which is impossible. So you cannot multiply money. It is something you just cannot do. But you can pray for people to say that, okay, if I pray for you, or I give you this holy water, or I give you this anointing oil, and you smear on your face, the favor of God can come on you and you can get some money. It's fine. That is not really defrauding.
That's faith-based.
That's faith-based. But in this instance, you are making specific promises and you are hinging it on a specific result. And the specific result is that you are saying that once you give me 10 cedis, I am going to multiply the 10 cedis. I am going to give you 20 cedis. Who prints the extra 10 cedis? It's the Bank of Ghana. I mean, you cannot do it. It's essentially a Ponzi scheme you are running using the name of God. And consequently, that is why she's been convicted. For the 15 years, her lawyer made the case. So what we do in criminal law is that when the case is done, there's something called conviction. Conviction is that the court is telling you that you are either innocent, that you are guilty. So it's either you are convicted or you are acquitted. Conviction is that you are guilty. Acquitted is they say go home, you are free. Now, after the conviction, the court, because she's a woman of childbearing age, would order for an assessment as to whether or not she is pregnant at the time of the conviction.
Even if she's not married?
Oh, that has nothing to do with it.
So at what age will the court say that there's no need for a pregnancy test? 65?
Yeah, possibly. After 60, as you are out of childbearing age.
But miracles happen. Miracles happen.
So the miracle can happen in jail. Right? But
assuming that the pregnancy test came positive, what would have happened?
Assuming it came positive, then there will be issues of sentencing. So the court would have to look at it. Doesn't mean you will still go home or you still go scot-free, but there are other avenues that the court can actually use in making sure that you give birth out of jail before you come back for sentencing, and then you are sent to custody in Sawom. Normally you would go to Ashafort for a couple of days or weeks, and then you are processed to go to either the medium security prison at Nsawom or maximum at Ankafo. But I don't think she would go to maximum. I'm most likely medium. It's not really, she's not.
Why is the sentence so long? Why 15 years?
Well, the case that was made by the prosecution in this instance was that she's already a first-time offender. in the
By
sense
doing
that,
what?
So there was a time she ran a TV station, media without license and without accreditation, and so for in that instance she had more or less committed a crime before, and she was quite troublesome in that regard. And it seems because after that, and after a pat on her hand, she had not repented, and she went ahead to commit this crime again. And so the court thought that, well, 15 years. Because if you look at section 132 of Act 29, it prescribes that for the offense known as defrauding by false pretenses, the punishment is 10 to 25 years. So the court can pick in between, despite the fact that generally second degree felonies, the maximum is 10 years. But 132 says, notwithstanding 296 in Act 30, which prescribes the maximum to be 10 years, you can still give between 10 to 15, between 10 to 25. So the court in this instance gave her 15 years.
What are the remedies in the circumstance?
So right now, her remedy, the remedy of counsel is to apply, go on appeal. In this instance, because it was a circuit court, she can appeal to the High Court. Now, when she appeals to the High Court, her lawyers can do what we call bail pending appeal. Now, for the bail pending appeal, the lawyers are supposed to demonstrate that, one, they are going on appeal, and on appeal there is a prospect of success.
Success means a not guilty or a reduction of
High Court
or a reduction of the sentence.
So that's also a different form of appeal. So you may appeal the conviction, or you may appeal the sentence. You may appeal the convictions that you are basically telling the High Court that my client is innocent. Now you are appealing you may also appeal the sentence in the sense that you are saying that even though my client is guilty, the 15 years is harsh, and therefore something must be done about it. You remember Robert Mensah, the footballer, who had gotten the opportunity to go abroad and play football for one of the.
I like the way you say it. That's why I appreciate you, because when Robert Mensah died, I wasn't born. You were not born. And you're asking me if I remember Robert Mensah. He died in 1971. He played for Asante Kotoko.
Yes.
But you read about it.
Yes.
The guy who stabbed him to death in Tema. You know about it?
Yeah, so
he went very well.
I think, last time, he was in Ghana having fun with friends before he goes. Then two people were fighting, Melfa and one other person. So he comes in trying to settle the fight. And the one who Robert Mensah accidentally killed charged at him with a broken bottle. And so in an act of defending himself, he killed the person. The lower courts convicted him and said manslaughter. But upon appeal, even though the courts did not, his lawyers did not challenge the conviction per se, they said that the judgment was harsh in the sense, or the sentence was harsh in the sense that he was the person who was coming in to stop the fight, and it was rather the deceased person who charged towards him. So even though, yes, everybody there saw that indeed he stabbed the dead person died, the court should temper justice with mercy. And that is how Robert Mensah's conviction was reduced. In fact, at the time of the higher court's judgment, they noticed that he had served most of the time already, and therefore they just acquitted him.
What about the remedy that lies on the president's desk? How does
that's Article 72 of the Constitution, which provides for the power of the president to grant clemency. This means that the president can do some things. One, he may reduce the sentence. He may also suspend the punishment indefinitely. What the president cannot do is to erase a conviction. So even if President Mahama, as a result of the hug he shared with Nana Agradaa,
and in the spirit of Thanksgiving,
on 1st July, decides to say that, you let her go out of custody, she is still going to be recorded as
an ex-convict,
which means that she may not be available for certain
ministerial
positions,
parliamentary positions.
A director, Act 992, the Companies Act, has provided for that. If you are convicted of certain offences relating to honesty, propriety, monetary issues, defrauding by false pretenses,
you cannot be a director of any company.
A director of a company. So you may not be in custody in cells, though, but you will still have the tag of.
All we need right now for Agradaa is to be taken out of the cells to continue to do her work in honesty. That's all we need.
In honesty.
Yeah, honesty. But she stopped that. I mean, since the last time, since she stopped over the last 2 years, she doesn't do sika gari. She doesn't. She just has an acidic tongue, and she insults quite a bit, which she should stop. Yeah, yes. But really, she doesn't defraud people. I don't know. I don't think she does.
Oh, but you know the multiplication of money, promising.
But she's still doing it.
So no, I'm saying then. I'm talking of the charge.
Yeah, that one may lie. That one may lie. But,
yes, but
right now,
done it. We can't say that because you killed someone in 2020 and you were convicted in 2025. Therefore, we should let you go because you stopped killing people.
Well, I'm saying that part of what should go through the president's mind in suspending the sentence,
punishment, okay,
is that she's not dangerous to the society. I mean, she creates some fun for some people.
Oh, yes.
We use our videos here. People watch and they are laughing.
When we use our videos, our views
are going up. So really, I think that President Mahama should. Is this something the vice president can do on behalf of the president?
No, it's vested in the president. In fact, there may be a debate if the vice president acting as a president
can do it.
Sworn in can do it. Because my philosophy is that the whole purpose of a vice president acting in the stead of a president is for limited functions. I don't think the vice president can act, you know.
Oh, that's interesting. That's philosophical.
Yeah,
when the vice president acting as president, he cannot take up the presidential responsibilities in the constitution, like Article 78, 79,
exactly.
appointing ministers.
Because I think the rationale is that you are just warming. You know, there's a political history behind all these things. Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown when he was in Hanoi, Peking, China, on the strip to Hanoi. Buzia was overthrown when he was in London for an eye surgery. I think Liman was overthrown. He was here. Liman was here when he was overthrown.
He was in the castle.
When he was overthrown. So I think the history behind that is to always have someone to warm the seats, so that
there's no power
vacuum of sorts. And therefore the warming of the seats should not be taken to be
I tended to agree with you. So where is he right now as we speak, Agradaa?
Right now I cannot tell, but the process is upon conviction. The practice is you would go to one of the main holding cells. It can be any police station. So there are clients that they have convictions that some lawyers are working on their cases. I don't want to use my name, but some lawyers are working on their cases, and before processing, they are even in cells. Some at regional headquarters police. So for her, for the importance, you know, how popular she is, she may be sent to Ashford at Jamestown, or she may be sent to one of the police stations that have relatively. I don't think she should be sent to somewhere like Mamprobi police station, but maybe regional headquarters, cantonments, these places where there's security, where she will be processed and subsequently transferred to one of the prison holding facilities.
East Legon.
East Legon seems quite small for me.
The police station?
Yeah, the police station.
But it's near the executive, East Legon Executive Club.
Oh, I mean, despite can be bring here. And then processed to the main.
One question which is not legal, and that's my final question. What's going to happen to her husband?
He said, so there's a video. He said that he would, which is interesting. I was expecting him to say, we'll fight. But he said that it's in God's hands and that he will wait for him for the 15 years, wait for her for the 15 years and he will take care of the church. And I was saying, that's interesting. I thought your first point of call would be, we will fight this conviction. But he said,
I think their only remedy is to get people who know President Mahama and to make a case.
And to talk to.
To make a case, to make a real big case.
Well, I don't think President
Mahama. But can President Mahama suspend the sentence now, or must she serve some of it?
That was the debate we were having. I am not aware as to whether she should serve a substantial portion.
Remember that during the Muntie 3, it was said that they have served half the sentence already. They had been incarcerated for a month.
Yes.
And that it was due for president to come in. So we have to check the law in that regard. And viewers, those of you who know the law, you can tell us.
72 doesn't
you
really
can share the law with us if you know.
Really give the details in that regard as to the number of days that a person should serve a sentence before he or she.
Oh, it doesn't?
Yes, it doesn't. It just says the president has that power to grant clemency in those specific instances. So maybe there may be conventions. But I also don't think President Mahama would because if you look at, particularly here in opposition, talking about the fact that NDC lawyers should get ready so that it comes to take the bench, and then many of these things, CJ Tokonu suspension. It seems I have even some friends USA that the BBC reported president suspends chief justice. They really didn't give the nuance. The president suspends chief justice. Doing this now would also look like a bit too much regarding
interfering
with judicial.
Oh, particularly
at this time. Maybe if everything was okay, maybe nothing was going on, he could have. But people people will take it. People will really take it up and say that there's you one person you are suspending Chief Justice. You the same person you've made comments against Chief Justice in the past, judiciary in opposition, and you the same person you also.
So I think that's Agradaa is a nobody. She's not a politician. She's not a, she's not a threat to anybody.
Or somebody who could take, that amount of money from.
But have those people been compensated?
For criminal law,
victims.
Criminal law doesn't concern compensation. Criminal law looks at the conviction of the person. So what they should have done was to sue her in another remedy, maybe breach of contract. Maybe they had, oral contracts are legally enforceable, and so once she contracted to them, that also would not be enforceable, because a contract for you to duplicate money for me, clearly you should have seen.
Absolutely.
You should have clearly seen a contract.
My goodness, this is sad.
These are one of those
But
things.
did she not know that on Thursday it was judgment day for her? When she felt so excited that
her lawyers had assured her
that there'll be no problem.
There'll be no problem. Maybe they made. I'm sure they made submissions in courts. They did well and all that. But in court cases, it can go left or right. That it depends on God and the judge.
Okay, we've done 10 minutes. Thank you very much. Let's go to text messages now and see what people are saying.